going to record this so that we can make it available on the CCAR website. And I just want to welcome everybody to what I hope will be a really interesting conversation and a very cool opportunity to get to chat with some of CCAR's own emergency department recovery coaches. Before I turn it over to our coaches to introduce themselves, I just want to share a little bit about the format of today. My name is Stacy Charpentier. I'm the Director of Training at CCAR, and I really want to use this as an opportunity for you to have any questions that you might have about the role of recovery coach, the role of working as a recovery coach in an emergency department, asked and hopefully answered by our experts and residents here. And before we get to questions, I just want to have each of them give a brief introduction, and then I invite anybody to feel free to use the chat boxes that are directly below each of the coaches to formulate some questions that you might have of them. And I will do my best to facilitate through and provide them with an opportunity to answer them. So thanks all, and I will have Katie start, and then we will go through and have introductions. So Katie, introduce yourself. Hold on, Katie, you're still on mute.
All right, sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending the webinar. My name is Katie Sikera. I'm an emergency department recovery coach. I'm also a woman in long-term recovery. I started this position, I was one of the first coaches to go into the ED, and that was back in March 1st of 2017. And I started with CCAR back in 2015 as an intern.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie. Barry, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Barry Richardson, and I have the privilege to be an emergency room recovery coach for CCAR. I'm also a person in recovery, and it's wonderful working for CCAR. I've been a recovery coach coming up on 2 years within a week or so with CCAR, and it's been a great pleasure.
Thanks, Barry. I can't believe it's already been 2 years. My goodness, congratulations. Mindy, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mindy Richardson, no related to Barry Richardson. I've been a recovery coach since September 2018. I'm too in long-term recovery. Just celebrated 6 years not too long ago. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that we have 3 of our recovery coaches here to answer some questions. And so why don't I just get started a little bit. Katie, you mentioned that you began as an intern at CCAR. Can you share with us what that experience was like?
Absolutely, Stacy. Thank you. So I came in as an intern. I was studying for my bachelor's degree for social work. And I used CCAR as my internship. And what I had discovered at CCAR was just something that I didn't even know existed. So I'm a person that doesn't use the traditional AANA, although I do have a history with those programs, but mine was more of a religious type recovery due to my unique situation. So there was, coming into CCAR, it was just the most amazing thing. So prior to CCAR, I kind of felt really not linked to the recovery community because I didn't really attend. I had 2 small children and I was a single mom, very, very low income. So meetings just weren't something I could get to. I didn't have the transportation and I didn't have the childcare. So I always felt like I was doing something wrong. You know, if you go by those guidelines, the person that doesn't have a sponsor and doesn't attend meetings regularly is somebody that's going to relapse. But I, in turn, went to church 3 times a week, and I did do a program of my own. It just wasn't that way. So anyways, to make a long story short, coming into CCAR, I was welcomed. My pathway it's the first time I had ever heard of it, but my pathway to recovery is something that worked for me, and CCAR just had accepted that as a program of recovery. So it was just awe-inspiring and amazing to me, and I just fell in love with CCAR. Not only that, but being in the center, everyone was treated equally coming in. Everybody was treated with value, in which I hadn't experienced something like that in quite some time. And so everybody was treated equally, and it's just a place to come in no matter what stage of recovery you're in, and just be welcomed and just be appreciated. And CCAR just blew my mind when I first came in, and just grew so much since I've been here.
Thank you so much, Katie. That is such a wealth of information, and I really appreciated you sharing a little bit about your experience with CCAR. So that's going to be actually my next question to Barry is, what made you decide to choose CCAR as a place of employment and where you wanted to work as a recovery coach?
Well, I was actually introduced to CCAR quite a few years ago, like back in 2003, believe it or not. Michael Askew, he probably don't even remember. I was in a program in Stanford, and he brought us to like one of the CCAR meeting in Bridgeport, and I think it was like a chapter back then. And so, and I watched CCAR. I heard about the recovery walks, and then they finally got a center in Hartford, and I was always wanting to volunteer, but I always worked during the day, so I was never able to get down there. And I remember in like 2015, I was thinking about switching careers. I had like 9 years clean, and I was thinking about becoming a drug counselor. And I started that process, and I got a scholarship to go to the New England School of Addiction. And I seen the recovery coach course there. It was for the whole week, so I had to commit to the whole week. And I remember taking it. And what it did was it changed my whole perspective on recovery, because I'm a part of a 12-step fellowship, and I've jumped in it with both feet, and I still swear by it because it worked for me. But it opened my mind to other pathways of recovery that I had never thought about. And so when I did, I was getting emails from CCAR, about jobs and about CART and all that. And I saw the emergency room recovery coach, and I said that looked interested, and I read it, and it really touched me, because the opportunity, I remember being in hospitals and not having no help, and not thinking I had a choice, thinking I had to go back and do what I always did. So I didn't have an idea what how it was going to entail. Like, my picture of what a recovery coach in the emergency room is not exactly what I do, but I was interested, and CCAR was, and I really had respect the organization, because they had always been there. They're always sponsoring trainings or something for someone, and I always wanted to be a part of that. So, when I got the opportunity, I was grateful, and I'm still grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barry. So, Mindy, talk to us about what your journey to CCAR was like.
Well, with my journey with CCAR started in Bridgeport on Cannon Street when they had the community center was there before they relocated. And when I came in really, really broken. And I fell into that center, and everyone there was so welcoming and wanting to help me in my recovery, and that's how my journey really started in the process of recovery, is through CCAR and the volunteers there, and Mike Askew, loving on me and talking to me until I can figure out what did I want to do in order to sustain some recovery. So I volunteered there. Once I got myself together, I started volunteering there and got involved. And that was always like a home for me. Like, that was a safe haven. It was somewhere that I can go and I can vent. It was somewhere that I can go and I can catch an all recovery meeting, and that's where my journey started, was with CCAR, volunteering and really coming in as a recoveree. And I got my certifications, and the position opened up, and people were telling me, apply, you know, and I applied. And I didn't think that I was worthy of it, really, you know, and I was like, yeah, they're not going to pick me. And, you know, long and behold, like, you know, lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise. And like, they picked me, you know, and it's been a beautiful journey. And, you know, one thing that I love about this company is that we're a family, you know, and like the staff meetings is full of like laughter and support. And I can call any one of you guys, you know, in the company, no matter what it is, and ask a question, and you guys are willing with a smile to help me. And that's something very unusual that, you know, I never had at other jobs that I had. So like, I'm very, very appreciative of CCAR, and I'm glad to be a part of something that stands for something, you know. I'm just happy to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mindy. I really appreciate that. Katie, so I have a question. Was coaching in the emergency department what you expected, and is it hard to accept that some folks may not be ready?
Excuse me. Coaching in the emergency room, I can say what I had been trained as a recovery coach through the Recovery Coach Academy and had been utilizing my coaching experience for a year prior, in addition to attending the coaching enhancement groups. So I do utilize a lot of skills, but it's not so much where you get to where you think like recovery coaching, you get to spend a good amount of time with them regularly. In the ED, it's really about establishing good connection at that moment, and then a lot of times just the fact that I'm a person in recovery and can relate to their experience really helps a lot. Let's see, I think I lost track of the conversation of the question. Could you tell me once more? Was it something that I expected? And
yeah, is it hard to accept that some folks may not be ready?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, just developing that connection right away, having a really good conversation about a recovery plan and just gauging right where they're at. So the people that aren't quite ready just yet, utilizing good truth telling, playing the tape out, what's the next steps, but most importantly is just developing that connection. And I tell them always when I first meet them in the ER, this service isn't for just if you stay clean, you know, or stay sober. You know what I mean? I'm here no matter what. And usually that's helpful, because sometimes like they won't answer, you know, they might think not to answer the phone because they're not clean. So I just declare right away that I'm here no matter what.
Awesome, thank you. So Barry, I have another question. Have you noticed a change in the hospital staff since you started? How has the culture in the hospital changed since coaches started being implemented in the different emergency departments?
It's changed a great deal. You know, it's funny, like, you know, the hospitals that I first went in, and when we didn't have as many hospitals as we have now when I first started, and some of those hospitals that we've constantly went in and we've developed relationships with the staff, and have pulled them up in certain areas in a nice way. You know the language, because they had some language when we got there. You know, and you know, after working together, becoming to working together, and they find out that we're there to help the recovery, and they want to help the recovery, then it's changed a great deal. I've noticed that like a lot of people actually care, and they probably cared before. They just didn't really take the time to pay attention. But when we're there, they pay a little more attention, and they care. They're more than willing to help in a lot of ways that. And there's always a few that have that attitude, and I understand. I don't criticize them because they got a tough job, and sometimes they don't like seeing people over and over and over. But when they see some of the success stories, when they say this person hasn't been here in a long time, something must have happened. and their attitude changes. And I noticed that, I think everybody really cares. Some people just, they have their own agenda. And, but when we're there, when we come in there, and, what I love my team, we come in there with a good attitude, and we bring a good attitude to the ED. They can't be, they have to kind of just follow along. And they're more than willing to help us now.
Thank you so much. I can imagine that has to be, makes it so positive to be able to go into work in an environment where you're being accepted and welcomed as opposed to, when we first started and people were a little unsure of what we were doing there. Thank you so much. So Mindy, let's see, I have a question from Craig. So how did you find your first position?
Department recovery coach position, and I got listed on the email for like job openings there at CCAR, and I got the email, so I just submitted my cover letter and my resume, and I just waited.
Awesome. Thank you. Katie, have you made lasting relationships with any of the people you've met in the emergency department?
Yeah, so with my recoveries or the staff?
Speak to either one. I think that's a really good way to kind of look at both perspectives. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, with my recoveries, I actually am still in contact with 3 of the people that were one of my first few months working back in 2017. I actually still receive updates and things like that on how they're doing. And one of them I'm on a daily, through the COVID, we were to reach out to our recoveries that we had discharged. And she was one that would check in regularly for her anniversary dates when she had 2 years in this and that. But I'm actually talking to her daily now, and I met her back in 2017 at the beginning. So these are lasting relationships, and they can reach out to us at any time. It's just wonderful. It truly is. And with the staff, I've been, the same coach has been on for the past 3 years, so I've gotten to know the staff really well. They know how I work, and they know my, what to expect from me. So it's really, really good. We have just an excellent means of communication through the hospital.
Awesome. Thank you. So another question, Barry, one of them is, are coaches still working in the emergency department during this COVID epidemic? So why don't you take that one and maybe share a little bit about what y'all are doing right now?
So right now, we're not actually going into the ED. We're working remotely by phone. So when a person wants a recovery coach, the hospital gives us a call, just like before. But now we connect with them by phone, and it's very different. We had experience doing like snowstorms and stuff. So we had a little bit of experience at it, but it's actually different doing it day to day now. Because, we always try to ask meaningful questions and have meaningful conversations, but they have to be a little more meaningful. We have to go a little more in depth because we're not sitting with the person. And it's a little different, but what I've developed since I've been working remotely, I've really developed some good relationships with like new recoveries that we pretty much talk every day, and I've never seen them, and they've never seen me. So it puts a whole new spin on it, and it's working. The hospitals definitely are happy that we're still there. I check in with them, at least once a week and let them know that we're still around, and they're glad to hear it, and they call us. So, it's definitely working for what we have to do in this time. But I look forward to getting back in the hospitals doing the face-to-face. Thanks.
Thank you, Barry. I appreciate that. I know it is a different atmosphere out there, so the fact that you're all still able to connect with people is really, really so important. Mindy, talk to me a little bit about what a typical day in the life of a
typical
CCAR
day,
emergency department recovery
besides
coach
what's
looks
going
like.
on now with the
And then the
COVID
second
is
part of that is, are
we
you
would
available
receive a
at any
call
time,
from
day
the
or
hospital
night?
dispatch, and we'll get a call from either the doctors or the nurse there, whoever's handling that recovery, checking, making sure that the person is willing to talk to a coach is important, because traveling out and they don't want to talk to us, you know, it's hard for us to connect. So as long as they're willing to talk to us, we go into the emergency rooms and we connect, and we have that small conversation with the doctor or the nurse on what, you know, the reason why the person came in, ask those good questions to make sure that we can meet the need. Then we meet the recovery. You know, we go in and we conversate and have that great conversation about like what is the need and what is the person willing to do in order to find recovery or seek recovery. And then we try to make it happen. I mean, like if it's detox, if it's inpatient, if it's outpatient, you know, what pathway are you willing to take in order to sustain your recovery is a great question that we ask. And then we grab some demographic information, we submit them into our TRS, which is telephone recovery support, and we kind of walk through the process with the recovery. I mean, first 10 days, we call them every day. And if the recovery feels the need to want us to continue to call every day, we will. If not, we'll change them to weekly. And we just stay connected. And not only do we end up coaching like the recovery, there's sometime walking with family that's like really like broken and really pleading for us to help their loved one. And we're there to even support them and, you know, answer any questions that they need, because, you know, who better to ask a person that has been through it? And, you know, I have a lot of questions come in like, you know, will he ever be okay? You know, and that's where I give the hope, like, you know, don't give up, you know, I mean, like it gets better. As long as he's willing, you know, that's the first step. So that's the typical day. And day or night, we have 2 shifts. We work 8 to 4 and we work 4 to midnight. And, you know, those are the times that, you know, when we're on shift that we're available. I mean, we really have to be mindful of taking care of self. So self-care is very important. Me turning my phone off, even when I don't want to turn my phone off. You know, sometimes I may slip and grab a call because someone's calling and I see the phone vibrating, you know, but really taking care of ourselves, because we give so much of ourselves that we have to be able to replenish and be able to be there. Because if I'm not taking care of myself, how am I going to help the next recovery?
Awesome, Mindy. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you adding that piece about self-care and boundaries, because that's very important. And I did see a question come up about that. So let me get to another question first, though. So Katie, I have a question about looking for positions. So what would you suggest that for people who are looking for open positions right now, are there any steps that you could suggest for those people? I know CCAR is still posting open positions, but you know, what are things that you would suggest?
I do apologize, but I don't know a real good answer to this one as far as looking for positions. I do know that people are out there hiring. I'm not sure during the COVID time or not. So I would just, you know, honestly, I don't really have a good answer for this.
No problem. I think that's probably one of those things where right now it's difficult because of what's going on with COVID. But I do see that there are people that are hiring positions and whatnot. So Sharon, maybe again, look at CCAR and maybe look at some of the other agencies that are providing services right now. Let's go to Barry. So Carol wants to know, what's the best approach to starting a conversation?
Well, for me, I think being original, being yourself, not trying to overdo it. For me, me myself personally, I usually try to lighten up the room because the person is usually not feeling too good. They're not happy, they're not feeling good. So I definitely don't ask them how they're doing. Try not to do that. But I tried to open the door, ask them. I introduced myself and I asked them, "What are they looking for? What could I help you with today?" And I try to, ease up the room. Sometimes I'll say something. I'll make a little joke, and try to build a rapport, not a fake one, a real one. Something that they know I'm not there trying to give them a line. So I try to develop some honesty, and I try to make sure that I try to let them be comfortable to know that I'm there to help them. I'm not talking down to them. I'm talking to them as a peer, as a person in recovery, and I think most of the time they really appreciate that, a lot of times, because they're definitely in a vulnerable position, and I try to make sure that I don't try to take advantage of their vulnerability. I try to make sure I give them some hope, but I tell them the truth at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Barry. So, Mindy, I know we talked about the stigma and how that's changed a little bit
Good question.
since you all have
Because I've
entered
experienced,
the emergency
several
departments.
occasions in
What
different
about
hospitals where,
how we've been
someone
able
may
to
have been
change
there
the
numerous
language
times, and the nurse
around
comes
folks
in and is
that
like,
maybe have
he's
been
a
in the
frequent
ED
flyer, he's
multiple
always
times?
here.
And what
And,
have you
my
seen
thing is
about the
just to give
change
her
in
a
language
smile and
that
say,
folks
it's a
use?
friendly face, and then she's like, oh, I never thought about that, yeah, friendly face, so like, really, us, as we're recovery coaches and in long-term recovery, and actually us just walking into the emergency room is breaking the stigma and breaking like the language, because like what we bring to the table is professionalism, right? And we're coming in there with a great attitude, and like, yeah, I have a passion for what I do and I love what I do, and I come in there and I kind of like just spread love through there. And like, even through this crisis with what's going on with the pandemic, we as a team, we call the hospitals and just thank them for being on the front line, and appreciate, letting them know that we really appreciate and we miss you, and you just don't know how much feedback I got by calling the hospitals and just checking in to let them know that we miss you, and I'm so appreciative of you being on the front line. So like the language is changing, because when we walk in and, we call recoveries, and now we have doctors calling, oh, we have a recovery here that needs to speak with you, and it's not even a patient, they're calling it recovery when they call us. So it's like the language is being changed, and, the stigmas are more and yet fading away in the ED, because we're there and we're taking a huge presence when we're there, and we're very professional when we walk in, so they're looking at someone just like that person that's laying there. They're looking at someone just like that, because that person is me and I was there. So like, they're looking at, transformation, right? And they're looking at someone that, was able to sustain some type of recovery, and there's hope for that person as well. So the language is changing, and we're making, we're a part of the change, which is, I'm happy to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Mindy. So powerful to listen to you all talk, and in the way that you explain the role and really the impact that it's had on you, because you've certainly had an impact on others. So Katie, another question, have you seen a change in the treatment of SUD patients in the emergency departments as a result of your presence there?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. And Mindy, I love your answer. Thank you. The change in the treatment of SUD patients since we've been there. I know that we've affected the culture greatly in the hospital, in the EDs that we've been in. A lot of culture change has surrounded it, and we've built a lot of respect with the hospital staff. So even the hospitals that were really much more difficult coming in have a respect for what we do, and we've really had the opportunity to role model where usually the staff would probably see maybe the people, maybe coming in often over and over again and becoming discouraged or things like that. But by seeing us and knowing that we're people in recovery and seeing us on a daily basis, we're able to role model and show that we do recover, and that it's just an inspiring, to see how professional we are and that we do such a great job. Also, a lot of times the hospital staff is already, kind of trained to what we do, so they're really, just relieved when we show up. So, have the change to SUD patients since we've been there? I'd say yes. A yes in the culture. We've helped to develop a good recovery culture in the hospitals that we've been in.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Barry, the question I have for you is, obviously we know that being in an emergency department is sometimes stressful. So tell me a little bit about what self-care techniques you use in order to maintain your own health, well-being, and recovery.
Okay. So being a person in recovery, before I became a recovery coach, I had some stuff that I did that kept me in recovery, that I practiced self-care because it was important that, I was able to take care of myself. That's what recovery gave me. So when I became a recovery coach, it wasn't that much different for me. For me, it was that I had to be mindful though, because when you're giving, and I love giving, and I love helping, and it's something that I won't say it in front of Phil, I do for free, but I love doing it. So I sometimes don't notice, like when I'm overdoing it, or I'm getting stressed, or I'm going too far. I remember in the beginning, like always carrying my phone with me all the time, everywhere I went, leaving it on, checking it, making sure that nobody called, because I tend to tell people to call me, because and I'll answer the phone, and I had to slow down. I had to slow down, and I had to, create some boundaries of, where I could just take care of myself. I still pray, I still meditate, I still go do fun stuff. I try to, make myself happy, and then, cause this right here, this is a part of recovery, the giving back part of it was ingrained in me from the 12-step fellowship. So I naturally, I was attracted to the position. I was attracted to giving back. Once it started, I was like, yeah, I done hit the jackpot. But I have to be careful, that because other people have stuff. One thing I do know is I have to leave some of the feelings. I said one time, one of my strengths is my feelings, and one of my weaknesses is my feelings. Like sometimes I can tend to care too much and want to try to be more powerful than I am. I want to fix people, help people, and I have to be able to let that stuff go, and let who's powerful enough to take care of it take care of it, and do my part and take care of me. I love I love the water, so I go out by the water and I relax. I talk to family members. I love talking to my mother. Stuff like that relaxes me and it gets me away from like the day to day. And when I come back to work, then I have the energy to give them what they need.
Thank you so much, Barry. Yeah, and I see Phil just responded back to that statement you made about working for free. Don't worry, I'll eliminate that from the recording, so we won't hold you to that. So, Kara, I just wanted to let you know that you asked which hospitals we're in, and Jennifer Chudukowicz, who is the program manager for this emergency department recovery program, did just list all those out for you. So, as you can see, there are quite a few hospitals here in Connecticut that we are providing services to. So let me just scroll up for a minute here, and because there was a question for Mindy, is there an aspect of your position that you view as the most challenging, and how do you manage those situations?
That's something that I have to do on a regular when it's something challenging, and I have to stay in my own lane, and I have to allow the recovery to find what pathway works for him, even if it's just harm reduction. I guess that's challenging. I mean, I've had, more challenging things like a mother contacting me, wanting me to help her daughter, like just help her, and I can't find her. She's been gone for 7 days, and and I'm like, well, what have you done? What actions has you taken? Have you reached out to the police or missing report or whatever, and those are some challenges that I endure. Working with the family members as well can be challenging because some of them, want to control the issue and control the loved one. And I have to be the one to say, hey, we got to allow this person to find their own identity and find their own recovery, and it's pretty hard and challenging because some of them don't want to accept the answer, but I have to give it to them honest, right? So that can be challenging. Well, I didn't want to cross boundaries, and I didn't want to step out my lane.
Thank you so much, Mindy. I think, we talked about how rewarding it is, but yes, this job can be stressful, absolutely. So one of the next questions, Katie, I'll share it with you, is, has there ever been a time when you had to give support to another recovery coach, and what does that look like?
We have, CCAR as an organization is just so incredibly supportive. And then our emergency department recovery coach team is just such a tight-knit family unit. So giving support to another recovery coach is done probably every shift, all shift. We're just, even people that are off shift chime in real-time information for support. But absolutely, we definitely are there to uplift and troubleshoot and to keep each other, we're just a very, very supportive family unit, team unit.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. My next question, let's see. So, Barry, we have a question about the impact of recovery coaching on family members. And so I want to kind of stretch that a little bit and how do you think you've impacted the family members, but also how is it to support family members who are maybe dealing with somebody who's come into the hospital with an overdose, or maybe this is their first awareness that their loved one has an issue, and now you're the recovery coach and you're having to manage all of that. What does that look like?
And that really happens a lot. I've actually sometimes seemed like I've had a better relationship with the family member than the recovery in the beginning, some cases, because the family member, they're perplexed, they're shocked, they don't have a clue of, a lot of them don't know what addiction is. And they're thinking, like, what's wrong with them? Why do we keep doing this? And sometimes doing what I do is I do a little bit of self-disclosure, and I let them know that I've been right where your family member is, and I'm doing okay right now. So I give them some hope. I've had a few that like that. I mean, this one lady, she called me asking me, where is he? What is he doing? Have you talked to him? And I just ensure, I would be, yes, I've talked to him. I know I haven't, and he's okay. And what can I do? And they ask all these questions because they have a lot of questions. Because I remember my mother she was wanting to know what was wrong with me. Did I need mental help? What was the problem? And so I kind of understand where they are, and they, and it's their loved ones. They love them. So sometimes, they see what they want to see. And sometimes, I just try to lighten the load on them. I try, I answer the phone a lot of times for them because they call. The family members call as soon as they're missing, or even if they're doing good, they be like, this one lady always called and said, I think he's lying to me. And I didn't want to touch that, but I was like, well, I'll call him. And she said, thank you so much. She's just happy that somebody's there that cares, and will reach out. So we're definitely a level of comfort for the family member that, that they're not shouldering this burden on by themselves. They have someone else who cares for their loved one that needs the help.
Thanks, Barry. Have you ever been approached by hospital staff looking for help for their loved ones or their family members?
Not me personally, but I do know a lot of my coworkers that have.
I see Mindy is shaking her head. So, all right, Mindy, talk to me about that. What does that look like?
Didn't want to step out of my lane, and I was unsure if I was stepping out of my lane. So I just told her that we can connect as friends, and I can still give her the support needed in order for her to, stay on the path with her recovery. So I just made a friend, from her asking that question.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I find that anytime somebody finds out that I work at CCAR, or, that I work for the Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery, regardless of where I end up, I have people that reach out to me and ask me for advice and questions. So I really commend you sticking to your boundary management, because it's tough. We're all helpers, and we want to provide that support to people, but knowing, what our boundaries are within the role that we have is really, truly important. So thank you for that. Next, Katie, I would like to know,
one of my recovery
or this is a really good one from Phil. What type of personalities are best suited for recovery coaching?
Well, as Jennifer always says, that we one requirement is that we have a servant heart, which we all do. What type of personality? Definitely a non-judgmental personality, empathetic, compassionate, and also the ability to truth tell. That one I had to work on that one at first. Being a little more, just forthcoming and truth telling. Supporting someone, being empathetic, being compassionate, those things come very easy to me, but being able to sharpen somebody in addition to being empathetic and compassionate as well is very important, especially particularly once we get to know people a little. Maybe they don't get it on the first try or something like that. So that was certainly a skill that wasn't a strong one of mine coming in, but it's something that I've built up and worked on and been better at. So the type of personalities are best suited for recovery coaching. I'm not sure if there's one. I think we're a whole host of many different types of personalities on this team, and I think each and every one of us bring our own unique art and experience to the table from our different backgrounds and personalities.
Thank you so much. That was a great answer. I do see that in our group of emergency department recovery coaches, we do have a wide array of personalities and styles, and I think that's what makes it so unique, is that everybody comes at this with their own unique gifts, and that's what makes these connections so authentic, because we're coming at it with ourselves and with that servant heart. We're just there to serve, and people see that. It's that saying, we use it a lot. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and I feel like that's the biggest aspect of what recovery coaching is. It's about care and authenticity. So let's go on to another question. Thanks, Katie. So Barry, any other trainings that you would recommend an individual participate in prior to becoming a recovery coach? She's listed out, is there any trauma training that you go through, expert mental health first aid? So talk to me a little bit about what training looked like for you.
Well, I think a lot of the trainings that CCAR provided for us, the ethics, the ED recovery coach, the professionalism, those trainings were the ones that really had the most impact on me. First aid, emergency first aid, I'm going to say it really was interesting, and it really helped me identify with some of the things that some people that I wasn't, because we do run into a lot of people with mental health issues. And to be honest, when that happens, I never know exactly what to say to them, and they help me with that. But the trainings that CCAR provided, they have been sufficient to provide me with what I need to do as a recovery coach. Each training has given me so much. And the thing is I get to trust my training. I get to refer. When I don't know what to do, I can always refer back to something in my trainings that helped me. I really don't think I needed any extra training other than, the trainings that I got from CCAR.
As the director of training, I'm going to say, really good answer, Barry. No, I'm just kidding. But that is very, very good to hear. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so Mindy, let me ask you, do you have a particular success story that comes to mind or stands out that just reinforces why you do what you do every day?
The thread to show, this is just something that sparks our fire and keep us motivated when we share the stories of successful, people connecting with recovery and sustaining it. I've had another woman that I met, and this is like one of my first recoveries back in 2018, and she was pregnant, and they had her in 4-point restraint that night because she was very, very aggressive when she walked in. But that morning she was calm enough for me to speak with her, and I wanted to know, what does she want to do, and like, how am I able to help? and I got her connected into a facility in Waterbury for women and children. And when her baby was born, you know, she took a picture of the baby and sent it to me, you know, and she's still in recovery now. And when that baby turned 1 year old, the baby was born on NFL Super Bowl Sunday. And, you know, this year she sent me another picture of him 1 years old, and she's still in recovery. So, you know, that right there is like, makes me know that, you know, I just thank God for the position to be able to help others, you know, and guide them in this path, whatever pathway that they choose.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So another question that I have, Katie, so what happens when you get assigned to someone that you cannot connect with? No matter how hard you try, it's just things are not meshing the way you hoped. What do you do?
Well, genuinely, let's see, usually my empathy and my level of care and concern of their current situation and not giving up and continuously trying. And then the connection of me being a person in recovery as compared to either a doctor, nurse, or a clinician that's coming into the room. So I initially start out the conversation letting them know what type of an organization we are, what CCAR is, what we offer, and then who I am.
I mean, so like, not becoming attached to the outcome is something that I literally learned in Recovery Coach Academy.
Every conversation,
because, you know, we always root in.
To let them know what, you know, what to expect from me, and that kind of helps. And then so if, you know, I understand what it's like to be in the hospital and to be really hurt and coming off of something and you haven't been given any medication, you know, that's adhering to the symptoms that you're experiencing. And then you also, you know, sometimes life situations that just seems like all the doors are closed and things. So I was just on a conversation with a woman the other day, and she was in a tough spot, and she had been at the hospital a couple of days, and she was detoxing off of fentanyl, and she had only received clonidine. So by the time I had gotten to her, many doors had shut. And she was very, very upset. And she was, the beginning of the phone conversation, she was really, you know, angry and kind of confrontive, or, you know, confronting me. So I listened. I tried to explain all the sharp questions that she was throwing at me. I was able to just try to troubleshoot those. But at the end of it, I mean, after a few rounds of that, I said, listen, I absolutely understand what you're going through. I said, I have been through that same situation, you know, numerous times, and I know what it's like and what you're feeling, and I'm sorry. And then her heart softened at that moment, and she was just grateful to hear me say that. So, a lot of, like I said, a lot of times it's just that empathy. It's me not giving up, me just standing there and trying to figure out, you know, where they're at. Really just meeting them where they're at.
Thank you so much for that. So one other question, Barry, that I have for you is, has anyone helped you stay sober and gone on to be a recovery coach themselves?
No, I can't think of anyone that was that's a recovery coach that was around when I got clean. Most of the people that helped me stay sober, is that what you said?
Nope, that you provided services to that is now gone on to be, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. That's what I thought of. That sounded funny. Um, yeah, actually, it is a few guys that were became volunteer recovery coaches that I work with, and that I've developed relationships with, and was able to see them come to the centers and actually, come to the trainings and be really excited about it. And you know, one of the guys from Willimantic, he went on and decided to do something else, but he was really excited about, he took all the trainings and got really excited about becoming a recovery coach. And he was so grateful for the help that he wanted to help someone. And that's how that's what recovery is to me, like, because that's why I do it, because I'm grateful that I got help. And that I was able, that I want to help people. And a lot of people I talk to in emergency rooms, when they ask me how did I become a recovery coach, and I share with them, you can do this too. And a lot of them are very excited. The idea of it sounds real good to them, and some of them actually, they put forth the effort, and go through the steps of what they need to do to become a recovery coach.
Thank you. Mindy, one question for you is,
Like,
how do you
really,
not get attached to
breaking
the
the ice,
outcome?
as in, you
So
have your
how do you
personal
kind
recovery,
of, what
and they
skills
have
do you
their,
draw upon
like, and whatever they're
to
willing
make
to
sure that
do
you don't attach yourself
is
to the
that willingness
success
part again. And
or
like, whatever they're
unsuccess
willing to do,
of somebody that you're
that's what it
providing
is.
service?
Like, I can't force someone into treatment. I can't, and how it saddens me, to know that, okay, well, this person walked out of detox after, I've worked really hard to get the person in, right? And yeah, it is a little disappointing, but you know what? Like, that's his recovery, and I have to, like, really keep that front and center. Like, I did the best I could, and, and now he has to do the best he can. And 9 times out of 10, that person will call and be like, I'm really sick. And guess what? I'm right there to make the calls with them, three-way, or even giving them the information, the resources needed in order for them to make the calls themselves. Or, better yet, I'll ask them, hey, do you want me to three-way to call? And we can try this again, but never giving up on that person, no matter what, I'm never giving up, because, I know what it feels like when someone gives up on me. Gave up on me. So just being there and just remembering, like, not to get attached to the outcome. We've had people that passed away, that were recoveries, and not one of mine personally, but, where we had to encourage and uplift one of our team members that was very saddened behind it, but that's choice. It's choices, and that's their choice. And I cannot become attached to somebody else's stuff. I only can control me. And, that's how I kind of keep it front and center for me. It's like knowing that I can't control anything outside of myself. The only thing I can do is be the best recovery coach I could possibly be. The most rewarding part of, being a recovery coach is to know today I am not a part of the problem. I'm a part of the solution to this, to the recovery community. And also, like, it's so rewarding to know that I don't have to walk this recovery coach position alone. Like, we have this phone that connects to 17 recovery coaches. Like, anytime that I feel, this, uncomfortable, anytime, anything that goes on, like, it's so rewarding and so refreshing to know that I can reach out to one of my team members, or I can reach out to someone in CCAR, and they will give me their best answer.
Thank you so much for that. I know we are almost at time, but I did see a question come in that I just want to see, Katie, if maybe you could quickly answer that, only because it's somebody who's relating to you. So how do you know if you would be a good coach if you yourself have never gone to detox, or, how do you help people know what those experiences are going to be like if you've never been through them yourself? So maybe share a little bit about that as we wrap this up.
Absolutely. Absolutely, thank you. That's a great question. So you've only been to outpatient, but you've never been to detox. So, I struggled, like I said, when I first came here. I do have a 12-step history, but that's not the recovery pathway that ended up that I utilized that worked for me. So I struggled a lot thinking, how am I going to help somebody with recovery if I can't give them the AANA way? And I always thought that my coworkers that did have that background knew more than I did. So I really struggled in that area. Well, what I've come to realize throughout the years of being in this position is that what I bring to the table is good enough. Who I am and my experience is all that I'm required to have. You don't need to know. You're going to pick on. I mean, if in this position particularly, you're going to pick up on things that you don't know about quickly because you got a whole team of 12 or 15. I'm not sure how many coaches we're at right now, but I mean, in real time, somebody will help you, and you'll end up talking to. You'll gain the experience in this position definitely. But a good takeaway though is that what you have is good enough, and your recovery experience is all that's required.
Awesome. Thank you. I love the way you ended that. Like what you have is good enough. So as we end, there was a question and I just wanted to ask you all to give an answer to it as we wrap up. What's the most rewarding part of this job? Katie, can you quickly answer that and then we'll go through as we end our time together.
Oh boy, there is not even one answer. The most rewarding, I guess, to serve the opportunities to serve. I've done that throughout my entire recovery. But this being there in the ER where there is nobody else, and maybe most of the people that they had seen prior to me were not very empathetic to their situation. A lot of times I've walked into they've given me a heads up prior to going into the room that the person is volatile, and you really just, go in with your boxing gloves on. And I get in there, and the person's just as gentle as possible. So it's just really how, meeting them where they're at and being on their side. So there isn't one most rewarding thing about my job. It's the entire job. It's being a part of CCAR, it's being a person in recovery, and it's being able to share recovery.
Thank you so much. Barry, how would you answer that question? What's the most rewarding part?
And I have to agree with Katie, the serving part, and the people I get to serve with is like the best thing that, we serve with all you guys. It's a wonderful, CCAR is a wonderful organization to serve with. I could get support from you or anybody else in the organization. So that is like, that's like rewarding, that I know that everybody kind of got my back. When I don't know what to do, I can ask anybody. And, to be able to serve and have people to serve with you, and that, it makes it so much more confident, and it's definitely rewarding.
Thank you so much, Barry. Mindy, how about you? Most rewarding part? Mindy, you're muted. Unmute yourself first.
Hello, and to know that, I'm really a part of something that's making a difference. It's so rewarding for me to be able to sleep at night, to know that, I'm making a difference in others' lives, not just the recoveries, even the families and the people around the community, because that's what we're doing. We're, let's say transform people, and then that change just goes on down the line, and me transforming and then being able to assist with someone transforming is like so rewarding.
Thank you so much. And I just want to thank you three for coming and being vulnerable and sharing your stories and your
you.
challenges.
Thank you, everyone.
I think that being able to sit here and kind of watch you do what you all do so well as coaches is truly inspiring to me. And I thank all of the participants for coming on and bringing such great questions. This was a very rich conversation, and I will make this recording available on our training website for folks. This was awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you for your time, and coaches, thank you so much for your talent. I appreciate you, and everyone else, I hope you have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Good night.